Hi, welcome to another episode of Real Gold, where we discuss classic films, their relevance and importance, and whether they deserve the awards they received. I am your host, Matt Duffy. Today, I'm going to be talking about the classic film star Olivia De Havilland, who recently passed away at the age of 104. Dame Olivia is known most famously for her role as Melanie in Gone with the Wind, as well as being the last major surviving star of the golden age of Hollywood. But Olivia is so much more than that. She was a leading actress in her own right, winning 2 Academy Awards in the 1940s. She prevailed over Warner Brothers in a legal victory that extended the freedoms of creative performers, as well as having a popular on-screen collaboration with Errol Flynn and a sibling rivalry that reveled within tabloids and gossip columns for decades. So, let's dive into the life and work of Olivia De Havilland. Olivia Mary De Havilland was born on July 1st, 1916 in Tokyo, Japan, to British parents Lillian, a stage actress, and Walter, a professor. Her younger sister Joan would be born 15 months later in October of 1917. After her parents' divorce, her mother moved her and her sister to Saratoga, California, where Olivia took up the arts. At the age of 18, she was an understudy for the role of Hermia in A Midsummer Night's Dream, directed by famed director Max Reinhardt at the Hollywood Bowl. After Gloria Stewart, who was playing the role of Hermia, abruptly left to do a film gig, Olivia was offered the part and impressed critics and audiences so much, Max Reinhardt included her and offered her the part of Hermia in his film adaptation the following year. In 1934, she would then receive a film contract with Warner Brothers. After making her debut in Midsummer Night's Dream, she was then typecast as that sweet, charming love interest. In 1935, she would star in Captain Blood, a swashbuckling drama directed by Michael Curtiz and starring a then little-known bit actor named Errol Flynn. According to film historian Tony Thomas, both actors had classic good looks, cultured speaking voices, and a sense of distant aristocracy about them. The film became a critical and commercial success. It was nominated for Best Picture. De Havilland was singled out. Errol Flynn became a star overnight. And the on-screen chemistry between Olivia De Havilland and Errol Flynn was so popular that Warner Brothers had them collaborate 7 more times within the next 7 years. Most famously being The Adventures of Robin Hood in 1938, which is one of my favorites. If you didn't think their on-screen chemistry wasn't prevalent then, they lay it all out there. Their passion fuels the film.
Because I love you, Robin, I'd come. Even if danger would mean nothing if you were with me.
The Adventures of Robin Hood was not only a commercial success, but it was a standout for Errol Flynn, Olivia De Havilland, and amongst the Academy, where it was nominated for Best Picture. Now, this is important. On April 14th, 1936, Olivia De Havilland would then sign a 7-year contract with Warner Brothers with a starting salary of $500 a week. Now, although her star is rising, the roles that she's getting are still less challenging. In 1939, Hollywood is casting its Scarlett O'Hara for the film version of Gone with the Wind. Every actress is auditioning for it. Olivia De Havilland wants the role of Melanie. David O. Selznick, who's the producer, knows this and offers her the part. Olivia begs Jack Warner to lend her out. He won't. He refuses. She goes to his wife Anne and begs her. Jack relents, and she is cast in her most famous role, Melanie Wilkes. Olivia is great in this film. Her Melanie is the saintly angel to Scarlett's fiery devil. In his LA Times obituary of her, Justin Chang writes, De Havilland's Melanie serves as both a welcome corrective to the selfish Scarlett O'Hara and, remarkably, Scarlett's most sincere and persuasive defender. Her tenderness becomes the prism through which we come to love and accept Scarlett for ourselves. Beneath that warmly forgiving smile and that soothing embrace of a voice, De Havilland imparted to this woman and so many others a spine of steel. Gone with the Wind is a box office smash and critical success. At the 12th Academy Awards, she would be nominated for the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, but would ultimately lose out to her co-star Hattie McDaniel, who would become the first African American to ever win an Academy Award. After the success of Gone with the Wind, she returned to Warner Brothers and still was unhappy with the roles that she was getting. By early 1940, she then refused to appear in some of those films. resulting in her first suspension. She then starred with Errol Flynn and future President Ronald Reagan in Santa Fe Trail, which was one of the highest grossing films of 1940. In 1941, she refused to appear in some more films, resulting in her second suspension. And also in 1941, she is loaned out to Paramount Pictures, where she will star in the film Hold Back the Dawn. The film is a success, and she'll eventually be nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actress, ultimately losing to her sister Joan Fontaine. But we'll get into that. Towards the end of her tenure at Warner Brothers, she stars in Princess O'Rourke, which she says is one of the few satisfying roles. She said in a quote, "I wanted to do complex roles, like Melanie, for example, and Jack Warner saw me as an ingenue. I was really restless to portray more developed human beings." In 1943, her contract is over, or so she thinks. In 1943, after fulfilling her contract with Warner Brothers, Olivia was informed that 6 months was added onto her contract due to her suspensions. During this period, most studios and contract players accepted this position. Few fought it, and those who did lost, most notably Bette Davis in 1935. Olivia was not having it. On August 23rd, 1943, she filed a lawsuit against Warner Brothers seeking declaratory judgment that she was no longer bound to her contract. According to California Labor Code, a contract to render personal service may not be enforced against the employee beyond 7 years from the commencement of service under it. The court ruled in her favor. Warner Brothers appealed, and in 1944, the Court of Appeals ruled in her favor again. With this victory, she reduced the power of the studios and granted more freedom for the creative performers. And in fact, California's 7-year rule is still known today as the De Havilland Law. The De Havilland Law helped many actors and many other artists out, including Jimmy Stewart and Clark Gable after returning from World War II, up to present day, where Jared Leto used it during his multi-million-dollar record label contract dispute. Unfortunately, although she won legally, Warner Brothers then blackballed her for 2 years. In 1946, she teamed up with Paramount Pictures to work on the film To Each His Own, in which she plays Jody Norris, a mother who gives up her out-of-wedlock child and must watch him from afar. The New York Times, in their review, says that Olivia De Havilland, who is making her second screen appearance after a prolonged absence, may now take her exalted place along Helen Hayes, Ruth Chatterton, and Bette Davis, as a tragic heroine who loved unwisely and suffered terrible consequences with heroic fortitude. Now, with this film, she infused some of Stanislavski's acting, ages 30 years, and ultimately received the best prize, the Academy Award for Best Actress. Her Oscar win was basically considered a consolation prize for her legal victory against Warner Brothers. In 1948, Olivia De Havilland would then star in the film The Snake Pit, playing the role of Virginia Cunningham, a woman diagnosed with schizophrenia but doesn't know how she ended up in the mental institution she's in. And for this role, it required a lot of preparation. And Olivia did it. She went to mental institutions. She attended lectures by psychiatrists. She would watch them do hydrotherapy and electric shock treatments on patients, as well as conversing with patients and doctors in several institutions. It was a grueling process, but it ultimately worked out. The film was a success, especially in the fact that it led to reforms on the conditions in mental institutions. The Hollywood Reporter, in their review of The Snake Pit, said, "De Havilland gives a performance that is as exciting to watch as it must have been strenuous to play. It is one of the greatest performances we have ever seen on screen or stage. The deftness which she balances hysterics and the sly touches of humor that relieve the part show magnificent mastery of the acting art." For her work in The Snake Pit, she was awarded the New York Film Critics Circle Award for Best Actress and was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actress. She lost that year to Jane Wyman and Johnny Belinda. In 1949, after seeing the play The Heiress on Broadway, Olivia De Havilland then approached director William Wyler to direct a screen adaptation with her as the lead role of Catherine. The film then premiered later that year at Radio City to critical success. Variety said, "Likewise, the soft and pliant nature that Miss De Havilland gives to the shy and colorless daughter is much less shatterable by shock. and her ecstasies and her frustrations are much more open than they appeared on the stage. However, her portrayal of the poor girl has dignity and strength.
Olivia De Havilland.
The Heiress was also a success with the Academy. At the 22nd Academy Awards, The Heiress was nominated for 8 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director for William Wyler, and it won 4, including the Academy Award for Best Actress for Olivia De Havilland. This would be her second.
Your award for to each his own. I took as an incentive to venture forward. Thank you for this very generous assurance that I have not entirely failed to do so.
Olivia also won the Golden Globe for Best Lead Actress in a Motion Picture Drama, as well as the New York Film Critics Circle Award for Best Actress for the second time in a row. Now, Olivia De Havilland is also known for her many romances, most notably with Errol Flynn. We can't deny that their chemistry was prevalent, but both swear that nothing ever happened. In fact, Olivia De Havilland even stated that the relationship was never consummated. She was also involved with actor Jimmy Stewart. They met in late 1939. There were numerous gossip columns that said they were going to elope, but ultimately the relationship ended after he enlisted in the army in March of 1941. She also dated the eccentric millionaire Howard Hughes, who once also made a pass at her sister Joan, but that's another story. As well as she dated the director John Huston, who directed her in the film In This Our Life. Allegedly, John Huston and Errol Flynn got into a bloody fistfight over Olivia at a party at David O. Selznick's mansion. In 1946, she married Navy vet Marcus Goodrich, and in 1949 gave birth to her son Benjamin. Unfortunately, she filed for divorce in 1952. The following year, she met editor Pierre Galland and moved to France, married him, and gave birth to a daughter, Giselle, in 1956. After having her children, she took time off to be with her kids and declined a few parts, most notably Blanche in A Streetcar Named Desire, which ended up going to her old co-star Vivien Leigh, who won the Academy Award for Best Actress that year. As she got older, her film roles decreased, but she still appeared in a couple of good ones. She was in Michael Curtiz's The Proud Rebel, 1962's The Light in the Piazza, and in 1964, she appeared in Robert Aldrich's Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte with her close friend Bette Davis. Her appearance in that film comes after the departure of Joan Crawford in the film. In 1965, she became the first female to be the jury president at the Cannes Film Festival. And in this period, she also began to take on television drama roles. She appeared in the famous television miniseries Roots. She then, in 1986, starred in the miniseries Anastasia, The Mystery of Anna, where she won the Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress in a television miniseries or TV movie. Her final screen performance was The Woman He Loved. And then since then, she was a presenter at the 2003 Oscars, where she had a 4-minute standing ovation. In 2008, she received the National Medal of Arts. So in 2017, FX premiered the show Feud, Betty and Joan by Ryan Murphy. Catherine Zeta-Jones plays Olivia De Havilland in a supporting role. On June 30th, 2017, one day before her 101st birthday, Olivia De Havilland sued the studio and Ryan Murphy for common law right of publicity, invasion of privacy, and unjust enrichment. She claims that the miniseries violated her right to publicity, depicted her in a false light, and damaged her professional reputation for integrity, honesty, generosity, self-sacrifice, and dignity. She also took offense to a scene in which her character referred to Joan Fontaine as her, quote, bitch sister, unquote. She basically claimed that she had built a reputation for being an honest and loyal friend and not a gossiper, where in this show, the first scene is Catherine Zeta-Jones as Olivia De Havilland speaking to a documentarian about the feud and gossiping about it. She just felt it was low, and it wasn't her. In March 2018, a California state court threw out the suit, stating that ruling in favor of De Havilland would negatively impact the rights of screenwriters and producers who develop creative work work that dramatize historical events or public figures. In January 2019, the U.S. Supreme Court rejected to hear Miss De Havilland's appeal. But no feud has been greater told by many people throughout many different articles, newspapers, and videos than the one of Olivia De Havilland and her sister, Joan Fontaine. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for part 2, where we will discuss the infamous sibling rivalry between Olivia De Havilland and Joan Fontaine. But first, don't forget to hit like, click subscribe, comment, share it with your friends, and don't forget to follow me on social media. I'm at MattDuffy33, and I'll see you guys soon for part 2. Catch you later.